fingers are weird when you look at them. Greetings. Welcome to an LGR thing, and this is going to be another one of these Lego computer builds where, you know, it's a model of a computer. This is not a working computer that I'm going to be making. But similar in theme to the other one that I did a while back, which is an IBM PC, this is another retro computer. This is going to be an Apple II. Or as Mr. Power Pig here calls it, is my first computer, Binary Edition version 2.0. And yes, it did cost $100 after shipping. These aren't cheap, but you know, that's why I'm doing a video, so you can enjoy it. And also, I need to make my money back. So yeah, let's take a look here. Thank you for purchasing your custom Lego build. Yeah, these are really cool. You make some really good builds. Oh, and if you want to skip ahead to the time lapse, go ahead and do that by clicking to that point in time in the video and just see it all unfold. Otherwise, this is going to be fully just putting this thing together because it's fun. So, okay, let's see here. Wow. I'm always impressed by the detail of these builds. There are an awful lot of components. Holy crap. I'm in absolutely no rush though, so feel free to stick around. But this is going to take a little while. Yeah, I'm absolutely not in any sort of competition for speed here. Okay, so here's another one of these little thingies. That's cool. The IBM PC had one as well. It's just like a little, you know, integrated circuit of some kind with a label on it. It's special. Just looking at this, though, with all these little green pieces, I'm assuming this has got to be the main Apple II computer itself, and this could be the monitor. Okay, I got the PDF over here in my computer, and yeah, let's start with these two pieces, as the instructions instruct. Yep. Looks like an Apple II to me. But anyway, yeah, the Apple II, man, is a really interesting computer. I mean, obviously, right? More than legendary and all that, and yet it's one that I actually have not covered. I talked about the Apple II GS years ago. Honestly, it's not a good video. I need to revisit that. But I also just need to talk about the Apple II, like, in general. Don't know why I haven't done that. But I will. I'll make it happen. Alright, well, it's the end of the first page of things. I'm assuming this is like a little I/O plate or something. Yeah, it's gotta be. It's got this tray going on. This is already looking a little familiar to like the IBM PC one of these that I made. Which I was genuinely shocked at how well that video did. I think at the moment it has something like 700,000 views, which is stupid. Don't know why it's got that many. But you know, whatever, man. People like Lego and they like old computers or something, and maybe it was relaxing or whatever. So that's why I'm doing this, and I hope you enjoy it too. Even though I'm gonna take a while. I like taking my time with Lego things, and obviously I'm talking and, you know, whatever. Yeah, there seems to be a lot of people being like, "Oh man, you're taking so long. I'm 10 years old and I can do this quicker." I'm like, yeah, you probably could do it quicker than this, but I really don't care. This is fun for me. Let me have my Lego as a grown man who lives alone. Whatever, man. Internet's weird. People watch this stuff. It's great. I love it. My job is cool. And wow, it's already asking me to use the special chip here. It's representative of the CPU, I imagine. So neat. There's a lot of detail of just these things in here that you will never ever see again once it's assembled. And yeah, I've still got my IBM one on display next to my IBM AT now, actually. But yeah, I've had it in the living room ever since. It's just such a cool little thing. It always gets people's attention. You're like, wait, what is that? Here's my real computer. Here's my toy computer. That kind of thing. It's just fascinating. It's like all these little, RAM chips and other little integrated circuitry thingies going on. Neat. Okay, what are we making here? Some sort of card. Here's a couple of these. The reason I didn't go with this one first is, well, not only is our new design, I don't think it was around last time, but also just because I don't have as much nostalgia for the Apple II, even though it's very likely the very first computer that I ever used. It's hard for me to remember, but, in kindergarten, they had the computer class, and they had us typing on this computer screen, and I very clearly remember, the 5 1/4 inch floppy disks and the drives, the way they looked, the color of the keys, which were very brown, the beige case and everything. And doing a little bit of research, it does look like they used Apple IIs in that school district back then. So it would make sense if it was an Apple II, but honestly, I don't know for sure. What piece is it asking for? What is this? This one? Yeah, I guess so. Alright, and this goes here. Oh, well, isn't that nifty? Yeah, so that's got to be the back of it, because these are like, I guess the power supply would kind of go here, and then these are like the expansion cards. Yeah, that's awesome. So it looks like, it sounds like, my fridge is turning on. Hope it doesn't get too loud. It's got a fan problem in there right now, and I've replaced it once already, and the replacement happens to be a bit noisier than I would like. I'm just really sensitive to noisy fans ever since, like, getting into silent computing. It's just like, no, I don't want fan noise. It's the worst. Okay, it looks like building some sort of case topping thing. Which would make sense. I think this one opens up so you can see the insides. The IBM one did as well. So that's a thing. Alright, what am I making? This goes here, and this one goes here. Sweet. But yeah, what's like, was the Apple II possibly your first computer? If you're my age, I mean, I'm 30. But, they used these things up until, as far as I can tell, the early 2000s in that school district. From the other people I was talking to, they're like, yeah, we had Apple IIs until like 2002. It wasn't a school district with a lot of money, I can tell you that. But yeah, like people of all sorts of ages, I've run into. That are much younger than me, their first computer experience was an Apple II at school. And then, of course, you got people going all the way back to, these things were super prevalent in schools for just so ridiculously long, man. It's awesome. Because of, Apple's school initiatives and all that kind of stuff, education programs and discounts and kind of stuff that they provided. It's a fascinating topic all on its own, and there's like a million videos that I could do about the Apple II surrounding it and like its influence and everything. It's almost more interesting than covering the system itself, because I think that's been done quite a bit. This is looking awesome already. Okay, flip it over. Go. I don't know what I'm saying. This goes here. Little feet to go on the bottom. That's super cool. Oh, neat. I love little details like this. So we got little feet here. I hope this camera angle is working out. I'm trying something a little different from the last one, because the last one was almost over the shoulder and it didn't. I wasn't pleased with the last video, but whatever. I got a bunch of views and y'all asked for more, so that's what I'm doing. So I hope this is a better setup. Okay, so it's moving out of the beige parts now, We can put this little doohickey over here, and let's go to the beige. Because you can't have old computers without beige. Although it's interesting, beige didn't really take off until a while into the history of PCs. Like, even the original IBM PC is more of a white and a gray. The Apple II was pretty friggin' beige, but, like, I mean, computers in the 70s and whatnot, they were every color under the sun. So it's just interesting to me. I want to do a history of, like, beige in computers. Like, why? Why was this chosen? There were no other electronics that were beige. At least none that come to mind from my memory. It was mostly just computers, especially in the 90s. Beige boxes everywhere. Man, what kind of thing am I making? So it's telling me to stack these. I hate doing that. These pieces, I'm just... these little tiny stupid things. They're the worst. I don't like working with them. They're like some of those Lego pieces that I could just almost do without. Because they never line up perfectly. And it bothers my brain. Especially since it's having me put it like... It's going to go in here. And if it's not lined up just right... Why, that won't work at all. But it's looking pretty good to me. So, alright. That's a thing. Wow, that's a really precarious stack of crap. Alright, what's next here? I'm going to take some of this. One of these and one of these. That's interesting. Oh, well, we don't get to use these pieces very often. I haven't actually built very many Lego things in the past, I don't know, little while. So this is, something I need to do more, just even in my own free time. Okay, so I know what that is. This is the side of the computer. Specifically the little slats on the top that would, the sides would be like air vents. That's an interesting way to represent it. Creative. Oh no, do I have to make another one? I do. Well, here we go again. I was wondering why it had so many tiny little clear pieces, and I have my answer. It has them to annoy me. They're not as bad as packing peanuts. I can say that. Packing peanuts, I mean, that's just the worst invention in the world. But, they protect things during shipment. I actually had, this packing peanut hate is not unique to me. I got it from just years and years of eBay. In fact, I've been, I think, on there since 1998. So, and over the years, there's been this sort of stigma against packing peanuts that I've gotten from various people. Some people will, like when I used to sell things, people would be like, please don't use packing peanuts, they're bad. I'm like, okay, I don't want to anyway. And then other people were like, oh, they warned me. In fact, I had a seller very recently, just the other day, warn me that he was going to use packing peanuts in his box. He's like, I know, I'm sorry, but it is the best solution for this particular thing he was sending. And I agreed. I'm like, well, thank you for the heads up. And he was just like, yeah, I didn't want you to be, like, surprised when you open the box and just, like, packing peanuts foof everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, I know, it sucks, man. He's like, yeah, it does suck, but just looking out for you, bro. Seller to seller. I'm like, oh, thanks, bro. Yeah, that's exactly how it went, because that's how I talk. Not. Whatever, man. Packing peanuts. They're a thing. At least they're, like, eco-friendly now and stuff. Like, they dissolve in water and whatnot. They didn't used to. Those were way worse. They're still a pain. Like, they, you know, they fall apart into little pieces. And it sucks. Alright, here we go. Cool. Look at the sides. That's neat. It's like a little spaceship. It does, man. That's really cool. Oh, I can see how this is coming together, and it's starting to excite me. I love little models like this. It's so cool. Okay, here we go. So now we're going to be doing, looks like maybe the little front or the top of the case, which is one of the defining features of the Apple II, was its ease of hackability and being able to do your own maintenance on it. Had these sliding covers on the top that Woz was very, very adamant about having, and, you know, making it easy to get into, do your own work on it, just, you know, because he was a hacker. And that is exactly what you want, is to be able to hack your hardware easily. And, well, you know, history didn't quite stay with that. It was a very respectable move, and I quite like the Apple II in that regard. I mean, sure, you can get into other computers at the time really easily, too, relatively speaking, especially something like the Commodore PET, but the Apple II in particular, it has that sort of industrial, modern design of the late 70s, and it's also very accessible, which is a rare thing indeed, to have that sort of awesome combo. There's all the stories of them trying to make it more like an appliance, you know, but honestly, I think that's doing the Apple II a disservice, because I can't find this friggin' piece. Where'd it go? Oh, it's one of these. Oh! Anyway, doing the Apple II a disservice, because I don't know any appliances that you can easily, you know, work on and hack as well as you can an Apple II. So, to me, it's almost less of an appliance and more of a proper toy for hardware and software hackers and geeks and nerds and all the people that want to do all the things to their personal computers. You know, you want to personalize your computer, and this thing embodies that to such an insane degree. I mean, it was just all out there. And there was nothing keeping you, nothing standing in the way between, you know, your fingers and the metal and the code and everything. You know, something like the IBM PC a couple years later, you know, it proved to be something that was very customizable, but, you know, off-the-shelf components, sure, but also a huge part of that had to do with people having the balls to go up against IBM and reverse engineering stuff, man. A lot of companies did not survive that. It's telling me there should be 2 of these left, and there's one of these and one of these. I mean, I can do without it for the moment. It's just going right there. Maybe there's going to be an extra bag of parts in here somewhere. So we'll see about that for later. But anyway, I don't know what I was saying about computers and stuff. But anyway, this thing is cool. Alright, let's use a few of these. And one of these. In fact, the only one of these. This is weird. It's okay. I don't know what this is exactly going to be. Oh. Okay, so we're just continuing to build this part. And then I need... Okay, that's cool. Now somebody actually, oh, that's the keyboard. Right, that's gotta be, that is cool. Okay. But anyway, somebody, or actually quite a few people, in the last one of these builds were asking, you know, why don't I put like a tiny, teeny, tiny little display in the monitor and, you know, make it like a working computer with like a Raspberry Zero or something. And this is still way too small to do that. Maybe you could do it with some sort of other clever solution, you know, hiding circuitry and electronics and whatnot behind other stuff, but, you know, that'll be for somebody else to do. I have no real intention of turning these little tiny Lego builds into like a working computer. I admit, though, that's a super cool idea. And I'm sure some people have done something like that, but you'd have to make this a larger model to really make it work with the components that I have anyway. Like I had that little tiny 1/2-inch CRT, but I mean, even the back of that CRT is this big. You know, about as long as this whole thing here, so. Oh, okay, so this attaches this way. Huh. Well, what do you know? That's looking very Apple II-ish, I gotta say, although it's a little weird that it does this. Hi, I'm an Apple II. Rah. That is what it is, though. The keyboard. Oh, cool. New things. Yay. Let's build more. Okay. So I'm assuming this is going to be the cover. I was thinking that was going to be the cover, but this has got to be. This much beige. It's got to be a cover. Intriguingly, though, with my very limited Apple II experience as a child, or at least what I think it was an Apple II, I didn't play any games. There were no games. We had a word processing program of some kind. And I think it might have let you put some sort of little graphical tidbits. I remember for some reason putting like a balloon on a tiny little thing I typed up. But I don't actually know if there were any games on it, or if there were, they just didn't let the kindergartners play it. Which makes sense, man. You don't want those little kids screwing around on computers in a school when that's like all they had. Or maybe you do. Maybe you do. Oh, that's cool. Oh man, he has an Apple IIc version as well on his website. I'm really tempted by that because I love the look of the Apple IIc. Fantastic little machine with its little monitor thingy that sticks on top. But this is super cool. You know, this is the Apple II Plus, which I'm gonna have to get out and unpack my Apple II Plus. When I finish this, I moved about a year ago and still have not unpacked a lot of things. I did unpack the Apple II at one point, and then I'm like, oh, I'm still like moving a bunch of other things. I got to do something with it, so it went back into the box in storage. Like I took it out to play Oregon Trail, and that was about it. And then yeah, it's in storage still, which is sad. It does not deserve to be there. I know that. I want to take it back out and set it up properly. I mean, it's a really early run 2 Plus. It's a super cool machine, but you know, space issues are a thing. And no, I'm not talking about like going to Mars, although that's cool. I think NASA announced like yesterday or something that we are officially going to, you know, Mars and stuff. It's awesome. It's been talked about for so friggin' long. So anyway, not those kind of space issues. I'm talking about like my house is rather small, and I don't have room for all the computers to be set up that I would like. Someday, though. That is the goal. Like, I literally have no other reason to want a house that's larger, except for some, you know, more spots to put my computers. That's it. It's literally that simple. Because otherwise, it's just me. I don't really care. I like my little small house here. I picked it because it was small. You know, I don't want to be overwhelmed with crap. But at the same time, man, it'd be so cool to have like a nice big, room just of computers lining everything. But there's that kid who I think he sold it off recently, but he had this massive basement. I think in his parents' basement. It had to have been because he was like 16 or 17 or something. And he collected all these crazy, awesome, old computers. I think pretty much all Apple stuff, and he made a museum. And people came by, and I mean, his presentation was wonderful. Like I would have paid admission to see some of that stuff. It was super cool. I would love to do that. I want to have my own museum. Not like in my house necessarily. I do enjoy my privacy, but yeah, maybe I'll just do that. Maybe I'll just like rent out a space. No, see, I don't have the time to do that. I was gonna say rent out like a public space, and then I could have a sort of museum-y thing because I get asked that all the time. What have I done? Oh, here we go. I don't get asked that all the time. No, I get asked all the time, like, can I come over and see your collection? No, it's not a public collection, but I would love for it to be. Like, that'd be super neat. Oh, what am I doing? What is this? What is this? Okay. This is the disk drive? Yeah, I know a museum or something, would work. Even just like a traveling circus of old computers, or even just like somebody was telling me the other day, man, like, why isn't there a museum of not just computers and games and stuff? There's a lot of games and computer museums, but a museum of oddware, for instance, or just odd failed technology, weird stuff of a technological slant. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know. That's a good idea. I could totally see myself doing that. Especially as like a traveling exhibit to, trade shows and, I don't know, even like legit museums. Maybe I don't want to do my own museum. I'll just like contribute an exhibit to various museums. Like that would be super cool, I think. This is super cool. Wow. Look at that, man. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I forgot about the floppy drives entirely, which is very un-LGR of me. How did I do that? I don't really know, but I did. Whoops. Cool. That's what all those extra pieces were in this little bag. Makes sense. All right. But yeah, what do you think about like a museum of oddware or something like that? I would want it'd have to be interactive, right? But at the same time, some of that stuff is really, I don't know. Like, is it worth having a whole dedicated system to show off something like the power mouse? Or, it'd have to be a carefully curated type of thing. But yeah, I just don't have the time to do any of that. I don't have the time to do anything, man. This is all I do. I spend like 70 hours a week on LGR as is. All right, let's see. Where is this going to go? It's going to go right here. Here we go. All right, cool. So it's another... Yeah, this is exactly the same, so that makes sense. Well, anyway, I'm not asking for help necessarily. I don't have time and mental energy to even think about it right now. But I would appreciate comments just sort of letting me know what you think of the idea, or if you think that is a good idea, if it's too niche to... I don't know, man. I don't know about museums. I don't even go to them myself. I do think that it's an interesting idea as far as being able to see some of this stuff in person. So where else are you going to do that? Unless you spend the money to collect this stuff yourself. Face it, nobody's going to do that unless you're me and you make a living off of doing it somehow. Cool, here we go. Alright, and then this one goes... Well, that doesn't make any sense. Alright, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Nice and flush next to each other like that. Okay, so we've got this is going to go off to the side here, and these are the cables for the floppy drive. Because, that's just how it is. Awesome. Yeah! Look at that. That's cool. That's really cool. Alright, well I guess now it's time to make the monitor happen. I'm assuming this is going to be the display portion. Yep. Look at that. So we've got the brick system. Design, build, duplicate, dismantle, and quit. So yeah, it's not Apple DOS or anything like that. It's the brick system. Oh, well, that's lost forever. Okay, well, welcome to part 2 of this build, and if you've made it this far without skipping ahead, then congratulations. You must enjoy these types of videos. Either that or you're being held captive and someone's forcing you to do it. And in that case, I'm sorry. But, you know, they just have good taste in videos. That's all I gotta say. Alright. One of these, and one of these, and this one goes there. Cool. And for some reason, I really enjoy these small, little complicated builds. Although, it's something about the scale of them. I mean, it's not the fact that they're overly complex. I mean, because they're really not. These are really simple. But, I mean, complicated in the sense that they have a lot of little details. And it has to do with the scale difference, you know, the ratio between this and, like, real life's Apple IIs that is different than, say, the... Like, for instance, I'm not a fan of those Lego sets that have, you know, they're like of buildings, and the scales are so... They're just not quite right to me. For some reason, you don't get that level of detail that you get in this, which is like, you know, an object that you would sit on your tabletop being scaled down to something you can hold in your hand. With this, you get that level of detail and complexity that is really satisfying to me, whereas... something like putting together the Burj Khalifa, for instance, it just doesn't work. And then also, then you end up with, like, you know, the other ones in those sets of those buildings. It's like, why is the Eiffel Tower just as tall as the Burj? That doesn't... I don't want to ever put them side by side then, because it's just like, none of the scales match up. Whereas with this one and the IBM PC, the scales aren't quite exact, but they're close enough, right? It makes sense to me. But maybe I'm just weird. This is going to go here. Is this... What am I making? I thought this was the monitor, but... I don't know, man. That's the mystery. Let's find out together. Children. This is a thing. This is like a stand or something for the monitor. I don't know what I'm making. Okay. Moving on to some long pieces. Neat. Stomach keeps making noise. Not even hungry, but I did have sushi earlier, so who knows what that'll result in a few hours. It's good though. I guess I'm leaving an empty spot there. Okay. I need to cover more Lego games. People like to see them, and I like to make things people want to see. And also because a lot of people were telling me recently after I covered a Dungeon Keeper that I think it's Lego Rock Raiders, which is apparently really similar to Dungeon Keeper, if not kind of an outright, you know, kid-ified clone of it, which is fascinating. I'd heard of Rock Raiders, but I've never played it. Never seen it in action. I still haven't, so maybe that comparison is way off. But let me know if you'd like to see a Rock Raiders video, because I'm gonna do it. I'm just looking for a boxed copy. That's another one of those Lego games in particular, the earlier ones, seem to be really hard to find in box. Which makes sense, whatever. Most games that were sort of made for kids are. Because, yeah. Parents are going to keep those bulky boxes around. Kids probably aren't going to take care of them. Ugh. Man, what a monstrosity this is. If I didn't know what I was making... Well, actually, I don't know what I'm making, so... Yeah, that's one thing, though, that I really like to sort of pride myself on in my videos, especially when I'm covering a game and it's sort of a review of sorts, you know, retrospective video essay, whatever the term is that the cool kids call them nowadays. I like to show the boxes, the packaging, because that was such an important part of the experience for me growing up, and it's also something that a lot of other people don't really care to show, or they don't want to, you know, they just download the game off of the internet, or they grab a loose CD from Goodwill, and yeah, that's fine too, but you know, it's also easy. I mean, it's also really easy to just, you know, grab a virtual machine or an emulator or something, and so I use real hardware. I don't know, it's just one of those things that I try to do, you know, showing the boxes, the manual, the packaging, all that stuff. I think it's a sadly overlooked part of retro gaming, so I like to show it. And so I pretty much won't ever cover a PC game these days unless I have the box. At least if I'm doing that kind of a video where it's, you know, a topic directly dedicated to it. If I'm just talking about it in passing, you know, so whatever, that's fine, but man, these slanted pieces are so neat. Look at those. I don't know why, but they please me. They have that cool texture, too. Alright. Enough fondling the pieces. There's that. Cool. Building up that monitor. And here's more of these little tiny single pieces stacking up on each other. Dang it. Yeah. Nice. This is very brown. This is a lot of brown. You know, whatever works. And get another one over here. Okay. And capping this off, making it look all purty. As purty as puke brown looks. It almost looks like a little piano. Ding, 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 ding. I am almost even more confused now. So this is going like this. Right? I don't know how Lego designer people think of this stuff. I know there's programs and things to sort of help you make it happen, but it's magic to me. Because, yeah, the logic of putting all of these little bits together is interesting. I mean, I've even played around with, like, you know, Lego Designer and stuff, and I still don't get how somebody comes up with one of these kind of designs, man. It's crazy. Oh, cool. So that's what all these are for. Alright. Just wondering what all these little funky bits were hanging around gonna do, and yeah. Where's the other ones? Where? Okay, there it is. Whew. I was gonna say, if one of those is missing, I do not have a spare. There's one. All together now. Aha! That's something. Yeah, like that's gotta be the back of the monitor. Yeah, on the top. Okay, I understand. Okay. this one goes there. And now it's more of these long pieces that remind me of like parts. Need 3 of these. Nice. Okay, so it goes like that. Alright, that makes sense. Alright, we're just going to pretend that didn't happen and putting it all together because I got it totally right the first time around. I didn't screw up at all. I know precisely what I'm doing. I'll just pretend, okay? Everything is fine. Alright, cool. Now what? Okay, this. More of these. Nice. I also don't like it when these come together like that, man. It's like, I don't know. I gotta straighten them. Make sure it's all good. There we go. Yeah. That is a good looking thingy. Looks just like the picture, man. Alright, so I'm assuming this is like a little portion for like the buttons, probably. Because I think there's little red buttons on this particular monitor. This is not actually a display that I have in real life, so I'm not the most familiar with what it should or should not exactly look like. It is a very classic display for the Apple II, but I have one of those. My Apple II Plus came with like an AMDEC, I think is what the brand is. This is a very, very popular monitor back then. Got a couple of those. In fact, I've got another one from Goodwill years ago on a sort of prototype episode of LGR Thrifts, and it was for my local school system. Yeah, those monitors were really, really popular. But this is like the classic. That's cool. So yeah, the front of the monitor is going to look like, yeah, look at this. It's looking like a monitor now. Check it out. Little connectors in the back there, little overhang. Awesome. Your button right there. This monitor is bigger than I thought. But that's cool. Makes sense. This is really weird. Okay, so it's telling me I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got those. But I need another one of those gray ones. And that is something I have not seen at all. We're going to continue without it for now. Which, man, really sucks. There's supposed to be another one of those right there. Maybe we can make it work without it. I don't know. We'll see. Probably just something there for, I don't know, structure and stuff, which, yeah, but I'll just be careful. Okay, and we got a piece going here, and then not a piece on the other side. Okay, so it's time for the special screen to go in the front here. Hopefully it's okay, since I don't have the attachment piece that goes underneath it. Yeah, I guess it'll be alright. Here we go. I mean, sure, we'll see. Alright, cool. Well, that's a neat little screen. Oh, that's awesome. Decals. They do a lot. Alright, got this one and this one. Doing this twice. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Sort of little inset portion there, and then we have to put something on the sides. It's gonna be these over here, which are probably not gonna quite connect on this side because there's nothing to connect it to. That sucks. That sucks a lot. Order them, you know, whatever, that's fine. It is what it is, man. Sometimes the pieces just aren't in here. But seriously, though, I really thought. Maybe it's just lost. It bugs me, man. It really bugs me. Okay, so this goes on like that. Yeah, so I absolutely need that little piece. Otherwise, this is not going to... It's got nothing to stick to. I found the piece. Phew. Thank goodness. Now, how does it go on here? Like this. Yeah, good. Awesome. Haha. Okay, cool. So that means that this is going to go right in here. Wow, that's just sort of barely held in there. But, okay. And then we got a little, one more little side piece to put together here, which should be really quick. Yep. Awesome. And the top, which is the top. I got that little guy here, and this, and this little thing. Sure. Haha. I love it when a plan comes together. Yeah, I guess that's... Dink. Oh, that's really neat. Check that out. It's a proper Apple II looking monitor right there. That's for sure. So we got the cable. It's just gonna plug in, I guess, wherever. And nice. Yeah, I guess it doesn't actually... Man, I totally misread that build. Yeah, it does actually sort of just sits on top there and just sort of slides into place. That is really cool. Oh, such a neat little design. So I'm going to plug this in, I don't know, wherever. Right there. Oh, okay. Well, awesome then. Well, thank you for sticking around and watching the completed build. And hope you enjoyed this because it was super relaxing for me. In fact, I think I zoned out there for a while and wasn't even talking. Turns out there were no missing pieces. It was just me either losing them or not looking through the rest of the bags and finding them yet and getting ahead of myself. So, whoops, my bad. But it's a really cool little model, even though it's friggin' expensive. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.